Governor Wes Moore delivered a sweeping State of the State address, covering topics like budget plans, public transit, tax reforms, and education funding. But as powerful as his speech was, it's often what's not said that speaks the loudest. There were some key issues that Moore either glossed over or skipped entirely, and they're raising eyebrows across Maryland. One of the most noticeable omissions? The name of former President Donald Trump. Instead of directly addressing Trump, Moore referred to his administration in Washington more broadly. However, he didn't hold back in criticizing the chaos coming from the federal government, the funding freezes, threats of trade wars, and policies that could hit Marylanders hard. Moore warned that these decisions could have serious consequences for middle-class families and state-federal partnerships. Still, many were left wondering why he avoided naming Trump directly. Another absence? Specific mentions of marginalized communities that are directly impacted by federal policies. Moore has been a strong advocate for undocumented immigrants and LGBTQ+ rights in the past, but his speech took a broader approach, speaking of courage, partnerships, and the fight for human rights. Without naming the communities under fire, some lawmakers felt this was a missed opportunity, as many in these groups look to Moore for vocal leadership in uncertain times. Then, there's the budget. Moore spent a lot of time discussing financial pressures and his plans to tax the wealthy while growing the economy. But what about the long-term budget gap? Maryland faces a projected multi-billion-dollar deficit. And while Moore acknowledged immediate challenges, he didn't provide much detail on how the state will handle the looming structural deficit. His proposed budget also includes $2 billion in spending cuts affecting key programs that support developmentally disabled adults, students in poverty, and English language learners. Yet, Moore didn't use his speech to justify these cuts or address the backlash they've already received from lawmakers and advocacy groups. Many are already pushing back, saying these cuts weaken essential services and hurt the most vulnerable Marylanders. Energy was another surprising omission. With Maryland facing rising electricity costs and an impending energy supply crisis, lawmakers from both parties have flagged this as one of the state's biggest challenges. Moore has even introduced an energy bill, the Energize Maryland Act. But he didn't mention it in his speech. Given how crucial energy costs are for Maryland households and businesses, some lawmakers were shocked by its exclusion. And then there was the missing grand statement. Governors often wrap up their State of the State speeches by declaring, "The state of our state is strong," or some other defining phrase. But Moore skipped it entirely, just as he did last year. Was it an intentional signal that Maryland is in a more precarious position? Or was it simply an oversight? Either way, people noticed. Moore's speech set a cautious tone for the year ahead, acknowledging difficulties but stopping short of offering bold reassurances. As Maryland navigates budget challenges, federal uncertainty, and critical policy debates, the real test will be in the actions, not just the words, of the Moore administration. Stay subscribed for more videos.